What if I told you the most powerful force reshaping the world was a nation no one believed would survive the last century? For decades, China was written off, poor, broken, forgotten by the future. But then, something unbelievable happened. A transformation so fast, so aggressive, that it rewired the global balance of power. And the craziest part, nobody saw it coming. This is the story of how a fallen giant rose from the ashes to challenge the world order itself. To understand how China got here, you have to go back to a time when it was drowning, not just in poverty, but in chaos. The mid-20th century was a period of brutal upheaval. Political purges, devastating famine, and economic collapse left tens of millions dead and a nation on its knees. The country was isolated, its people struggling just to survive. To the outside world, China wasn't a threat. It was a tragedy, a closed-off broken state with no apparent future. Everyone assumed the story was over. But behind the scenes, a storm was forming. A quiet, desperate ambition was taking root in the minds of leaders who knew that to continue on this path meant total annihilation. They were backed into a corner, and they were about to make a decision that would change not just their own civilization, but the entire world. Then, in 1978, Deng Xiaoping made a move that shocked everyone. The command was simple: open the gates, unleash industry, compete with everyone. This wasn't just a policy shift. It was a civilizational reboot. It was a declaration that the old way was dead, and a new, ruthlessly pragmatic China was being born. The world watched, skeptical. How could a nation so far behind possibly catch up? But what happened next defied all expectations. It was like a switch was flipped. Special economic zones, starting with places like Shenzhen, which was then just a small fishing village, became laboratories for capitalism. Foreign investment, once forbidden, was now welcomed with open arms. Factories exploded into existence, seemingly overnight. Cities rose out of nothing. And a nation of 1 billion people, hungry for change, began to run fast. The Made in China label, once a symbol of cheap trinkets, started appearing on everything, from toys to electronics, to advanced machinery. The scale was breathtaking. It wasn't just about building factories. It was about building an entire industrial ecosystem from scratch, at a speed humanity had never witnessed before. But what no one expected was just how far, and how fast, that run would go. By the 2000s, the world woke up to a China it wasn't ready for. The nation that was once struggling to feed its people was now building skyscrapers in months, not years. High-speed rail networks that would take other countries decades to plan were constructed in just weeks. A new megacity seemed to appear every few years. This wasn't just economic growth. It was a display of sheer, raw power. The 2008 Beijing Olympics was China's grand coming-out party, a spectacle of organization and ambition that left the world stunned. But beneath the spectacle, something much more significant was happening. China was no longer content just being the world's factory. It was now aiming to be the world's lab, the world's bank, and the world's next superpower. Initiatives like the Belt and Road Project signaled a global ambition that stretched far beyond its borders, aiming to create a new network of trade and influence centered on Beijing. Tech giants like Alibaba and Tencent began to rival those in Silicon Valley. Not by copying them, but by innovating in areas like digital payments and AI on a massive scale. This rapid rise, however, came at a cost. Internally, it created massive environmental challenges and a growing gap between the rich and the poor. Externally, it created friction. The United States and other Western powers, who had once encouraged China's economic opening, now saw it as a strategic competitor, a rival with a different political system and a different vision for the future. The narrative shifted from one of partnership to one of competition, a new kind of Cold War fought not with armies, but with tariffs, technology, and influence. Today, we are living in the world that this transformation created. China's rise is not a distant historical event. It's the defining story of our time, impacting everything from the phone in your pocket to the geopolitical landscape that will shape the 21st century. The nation that was left for dead has not only survived, it has positioned itself at the very center of global power. The question is no longer if China will rise, but what the world will look like now that it has. The story is far from over, and the next chapter is being written right now, with all of us as its audience. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the forces shaping our world. See you in the next one.